Hello and welcome to the Stools podcast. My name is Kevin Walker, and as always, I'm joined by my co-stars Anthony Council and Cullen Brown. Today is Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. We hope you're having a wonderful day today. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of your day. If you have a great time and don't mind, please do post us, share us, or tell others about us. If you don't like what you hear, then simply tell no one. Boys, today is National Chocolate Ice Cream Day. And I don't know about y'all, I'm a big ice cream fan. But for some who don't like ice cream, or for some of our older listeners, like our friend here, like our friend Cullen here, it's also National VCR Day. So Cullen, if you would like to, can you give us an in-depth description on what a VCR is?
So the VCR, believe it or not, was developed in the 50s. And has been around.
You were around during that time, right?
I think I had just hit preschool around that time. I don't know. I'd have to go back in my memory, but yeah, around the 50s. Some people still have them today. Some people that they just like to hold on to the nostalgia of things that they grew up with. Yeah, no, that was one of those things that, like, when I was a kid, I used to watch like videos on a VCR, and that's crazy that they actually have a national day for it. So.
Well, I mean, eventually CDs are going to be prehistoric, so there's just going to be ancient times. No one's going to have CDs anymore either.
This podcast just reminds me, like, how much older I am than both of you, like, every episode, and it makes me sad on the inside.
every episode we're going up, So
I mean, you know what they say: with age comes wisdom. I've learned a lot of great things from you, Cullen.
That's that's an interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But Cullen. It's. I'm just gonna throw a little dart in our national day, because we've learned a lot about Kevin as well. And it's another national day today too, not just chocolate ice cream day. Not only is it VCR day, it's another day. It's I think it's a state that's a little bit above Texas. It's
just get to it.
It's National Oklahoma Day, and the only reason I bring that up is, well, we'll save it for Kevin.
Since when do states have national days? And why is the first that I have to hear of this be Oklahoma?
Second favorite state.
I'm not gonna lie, Anthony, you may have indirectly pissed off a lot of our listeners who care passionately about the state of Texas, because, as you know, some people down here that listen to our show, I mean, it's Texas versus everybody. So especially now.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth?
What the hell is it to do in Oklahoma anyway? Anyway, other than casinos. But anyway, that's for another time. We'll get to that later. But for our national day, as far as chocolate ice cream goes, are y'all a big fan of chocolate ice cream, or do y'all have a preference on how y'all like y'all's ice cream served?
I mean, I love ice cream.
Nice save. Nice save.
The ring that just came up was a reminder of how much I love my chocolate ice cream.
Is that what that was?
Because it was.
I could have guessed if, like, one of our loyal listeners just having to give a take on the podcast. They just heard it in the echosphere, and they're like, I need to say something about this.
Yeah, but it just so happened to be labeled as scam likely or something.
Fair enough.
Who knows? Cullen, what about you?
I don't know. Yeah, no, listen, I love ice cream. It's one of those things where, I don't know necessarily, like, I have like favorites, but I don't know if I have like one singular favorite. Chocolate's always a go-to. Vanilla, cookie dough, Rocky Road. I mean, ice cream is just very versatile, in my opinion. So,
I agree.
So chocolate chip cookie dough.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Chocolate chip.
Have you ever had chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream?
Yeah.
Anthony.
I'm sure everyone's had chocolate chip.
Okay, I was about to say.
But
another one I'm gonna put y'all on notice is Bluebell's. I know everybody knows Bluebell's ice cream. It's famous for a reason. But Bluebell makes this ice cream. It's called Cookie Two-Step. And what it is, it's a mixture of like chocolate brownie and chocolate chip, and it's probably not healthy for you whatsoever, but boy, is it worth the indulging. Oh, it is so good.
Anthony, have you had two-step from Bluebell?
I feel like I have. I feel like I have had it, and that bell just tells me that I did, because I have had it before.
You need to turn these. You need to do something with these bells.
Hey man, they just remind me of the times that I've had ice cream. They're just so good,
Yeah,
I definitely have had that, and it's like, is it in a blue container?
it actually is. Yeah, it's in a blue container.
Yeah,
Well, if no one else has, go try it. It's amazing. It's my favorite ice cream, other than strawberry cheesecake from Blue Bunny.
It's up there.
It's up there.
Yeah, Kevin, I think, well, for guys, there have been a lot of events that we are going to look to catch up on. We've got a long episode today that we're hoping to get into. But I think first, we're going to take a quick 10-second pause in response to some of the shootings that have occurred around the United States of America. And hopefully our listeners will join us in this moment of silence that we're taking for all the tragedies and fallen lives taking place over these past couple months. Guys, that is something that I really do enjoy about our show, is that we do take time to pay our respects to things that happened across the world landscape. And listen, it's something, we're not going to dive in too deep into it, but I do really appreciate that we all came in agreements that we needed to do this on today's show. And that was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. This show is a lot of things. It's sports, it's a lot of food, it's a lot of hot takes and getting made fun of. But another thing the show is a happy distraction. We're just, read into the title, we're just a bunch of fools talking about sports and just random stuff. But we do like to highlight and talk about all the recent events and tragedies, and and all the good things that happened as well. But as far as all the political and all the other stuff that happens behind the scenes and the in-depth stuff, that is, I don't know about y'all, but that is not my expertise. And in my opinion, this is a show for distraction. This is a show that people tune into when they want to hear a bunch of idiots talk about something that, in all truth, doesn't really matter. So, I agree with you, Cullen. I think that is something I definitely love about our show, is that we do like to keep it lighthearted and talk about funny stuff, but when it needs to be talked about, we do talk about it.
Yep, that is very true. It's all about and just to carry on what you said, Kev, and C-Money, one thing that this show does is that, it raises awareness about the things that need to be talked about in the world, whether that is race, whether that is gender, whatever it is. We're all about raising awareness, and we're not afraid to talk about it, because, at the end of the day, we're human, and, we live in this big world that is full of mess and joy and craziness. And at the end of the day, if we don't talk about these things, then nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen. It's all going to be the same. And it will continue to be like that for the rest of our lives that we live on this earth. And so talking about it does create the conversation and create the change. And that's why we talk about these things. But on the other hand, to kind of switch topics a little bit, let's kind of talk about some of the good things that have happened in our lives since we've been gone a little bit, before we dive right into
a lot has changed.
Yeah,
a lot.
We're virtual.
Well, I mean, let's not talk about this like we're coming out of COVID. We're only virtual because gas is $8 a gallon. But gosh, and I have a car too. Just think about a truck. Good gracious.
Oh man.
But yeah, who wants to go first?
I guess I'll go because I think just to kind of set the mood, it's gonna be a little more lighthearted. Officially started summer classes, and I am officially
brave man.
Here.
That was lighthearted. Come on now, I don't know if that was lighthearted.
That's just a brave soul
in total because it's not only am I a senior and I started classes this week, so it's final year of college. I also got to meet my godson in person today, so that was
awesome.
So I got to meet little Miles. So shout out to Miles Anthony Gibbs. Believe it or not, yeah.
Great middle name. Also, just want to say that.
Yeah, and he's he's not even a month old yet, and got to meet him today. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like I said. I woke up this morning. I'm healthy. I mean, I couldn't ask for much more than that, and I got 2 good things happen for me. So, just wanted to brag on that a little bit. So, yeah, that's my good news.
All right, cool. Let's clap it up for Cullen here. One thing I will say, and Cullen already kind of talked about this earlier, is about this age gap that we have in the group. Over sometime during the summer, I asked Cullen if he wanted, and this really just goes to show how the age group difference. So for those who don't know, I am 19, about to turn 20, and Cullen is 35, going on 52. And so
I think you're being generous with that, but go on.
but seriously, so I was trying to see if he wanted to hang out, and I said, hey man, do you want to hang out? We can swim and chill or whatever. And this dude responds with, no, my friend is going to be having a baby today, or my friends might be having a baby today. And I was just like, okay, cool, completely understand everything like that. But in my head, I was like, yeah, I don't know anybody in my life that is even close to that point. And I was just like, wow, like the difference in age just really sat in. And I was like, yeah, he's in that point where he's like going to like bachelor parties and like weddings and stuff. And I'm just at this point, I'm just going to like grad parties and
I'm going to a graduations. I'm going to a wedding in February, actually. So yeah, funny that you brought that up. So yeah, it's the vast differences of ages. I mean, Kevin's, I think, going to be old enough to drive by the time I graduate.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy the age gap there.
But we make it work.
We do. I think we share a common want and drive for what we want to do, and I think that's what makes it work in the end. So for all of us, not just me and Kevin.
Yeah.
Anthony,
a common drive of Cullen getting his Social Security and Kevin getting the opportunity to drink at the age of 21. Yes, of being adults, and I'm just here in the middle. Gotta love it for y'all.
You're like in the midlife crisis mode.
I am. It is beautiful. It's wonderful.
Well, I mean, but he might be in a midlife crisis mode, but he's got some great things going on. Anthony, I mean, tell us about, I mean, I know you're just waiting to spill this big news.
What news? I'm
chilling. Come on. Don't be humble about it.
I'm just chilling, working at the Mavericks, man. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sorry, you mean the UT Arlington Mavericks? The local Mavericks at the YMCA? Those Mavericks? No?
Like Mark Cuban, like Luka Doncic, like Jalen Brunson, Dallas Mavericks. Yeah.
The Dallas Mavericks.
The Dallas Mavericks, almost Western Conference Finals champions, Dallas Mavericks, that lost, sadly, to Golden State. But yes, those Dallas Mavericks who destroyed the Phoenix Suns. So happy that happened because we've never been able to beat the Phoenix Suns. We beat them. But yeah, working for the Dallas Mavericks, started my second week. I'll throw this out there. Also, it is Pride Month, and this past Sunday, I went to the Pride Parade, which was super cool. That was some big news. There was a lot of people was able to vlog it all for work. And one thing I know about Dallas is that when Dallas throws a party, they throw it big, and they're not afraid to show it, especially when it's at the fair. But yeah, it was a great time, just meeting a lot of people, and just working at the Mavericks, taking the train and all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
I know you were telling us how much you love the Dallas train system.
Oh, it's wonderful. You meet a lot of different people. You meet a lot of characters, you know.
Can we give his round of applause, please? Let's give him a round of applause. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Since I'm in the middle. I guess snaps. Actually, since Kevin's the young, we should give him snaps and you claps and just like a middle, you know.
I don't know what that was.
I don't have the rhythm to do that. I know what Anthony's talking about. I don't have the rhythm to execute that, brother. I am not one of my skill sets, to say the least.
So I guess I'll go last. So a few things. I've started working out recently again, which is fun. It's something I've been wanting to get back to doing for a long time. I haven't done it consistently since high school. So since my sophomore year of high school anyway. So it's just something I wanted to get back to doing, make my body feel better. So I can finally beat Anthony in basketball. I doubt that will happen. Anyway, I also started an internship. I started writing for Dave Campbell's Texas Football. That's been super fun. I've been working a lot back at home. So I haven't been able to put as much time into it as I would like, but still doing some stuff. Gonna work on getting 3 stories out this week. That's my goal. So that's been super fun. I've been really wanting to get some print work and like print journalism experience for some big corporation. And if you live in Texas and you play football or you follow football, you know Dave Campbell's. So it's an honor and it's a lot of fun. And it's remote, so it's perfect.
Let's give Kevin a round of applause. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then
so you're telling us so you're telling us you're writing for writing stories.
Well, in all technicalities, I'm typing for it, but yes.
You are getting credible print experience from a legitimate newspaper. I don't want to call them just strictly newspapers. I know they're getting more digital.
Yeah, they are.
How they're moving everything.
Mm-hmm.
But a legitimate company. That's big time, Kevin.
One of the biggest high school football magazines ever. Ever.
Everyone anticipates the magazine.
That's huge.
Also,
you say Dave Campbell's it's big.
Yeah.
Also, y'all want to know a little cheat code? So with Dave Campbell's, basically we have a Twitter, and so anybody who writes for Dave Campbell's has access to the Twitter page, and we can message players and get quotes from them to put into our story. And if you play football in Texas, you already follow Dave Campbell. So it's basically like, I know obviously that with great power comes great responsibility, but you have the essential free ticket to talk to any athlete. I just think that's really cool. I'm not going to just DM anybody for no dang reason, but I think it's pretty cool to have that power, because I know if I messaged them with my own account, they wouldn't answer, especially like a 4 or 5 star prospect that's really high up there. But if you have the Dave Campbell's account, then they are going to respond. I just think it's really neat to have that that ability. Like if North Texas had that, like that would be really cool. Like if you could message a player directly from like North Texas Athletics Twitter page or something like that. Like I just think that's a really cool thing. So it's neat. I've talked to some people, but
pretty smooth.
Later on down the line when they play for X team and they have X number of national championships and their X number in the NFL draft, it'll be cool.
It's pretty dope.
You may be writing about the next future NFL star. You don't even know. So
right, it's facts.
I mean, hey, listen, take full advantage of that opportunity. And like I said, me and Anthony are both very happy for you. And
thank you.
It's going to be one of many stops along the way in your journey, I feel like. So congratulations again, Kevin.
I appreciate that. But that's enough about us. Let's get to what we have been missing out on for so long. Let's just, me and Anthony already touched on it a little bit. Let's just, Cullen, you can join if you would like. Let's just give a hand to the Dallas Mavericks, please. Okay, come on, just the little engine that could.
Just like a golf clap. Something small.
Come on, just something small.
This is y'all's moment. I'm not trying to say anything. I'll go off.
Your Oklahoma City Thunder have the second pick in the draft. Okay, give us some.
We're not talking about them right now.
I know, but you can at least give us a clap, though. Okay,
I'll wait till it's my turn. I'll let y'all have y'all's moment.
All right. I don't want a whole moment. I just want to say that the Dallas Mavericks did something that even I did not think that they could do in beating the Phoenix Suns. They took it to Game 7. It was a really good series. I said it beforehand that if Dallas were to somehow beat Phoenix, it would be the shock of the playoffs. I think that stands true, honestly. Mm-hmm. But fast forward to what we have now, a Boston and Golden State finals.
We're not going to talk about the other teams, or we're just recapping the Mavericks.
No, I'm just saying we can recap the other teams.
No bias.
Let's just give Anthony his quick props for predicting Boston.
Yeah, no, that is rightfully deserved. Although I'm pretty sure he had them losing to Phoenix in the finals, right, Anthony?
Yeah. I mean that's why I said what I said as far as Dallas surprising the whole world. But this isn't a Dallas Mavericks themed show, so
very sure.
Everybody knows how good they are.
Okay.
We want blood.
Only
just want
only one piece away. Just saying.
Yeah,
we're just gonna throw that out there.
We want all of the smoke, and please give us a big Mark Cuban if you're listening.
Please. But
yeah, right. Let's talk about those other teams.
Yeah. So just like one last quick thing about the Mavs.
I know, what the heck? Do we not get to talk about them, Anthony? Or like what's
no.
Like what the heck is this?
Hey, he works for the Mavericks. He might have some inside information.
That's what I'm saying. But you were like trying to move on. Anthony didn't even get to say anything. I understand me, but like, why are you skipping Anthony? Come on now.
I work for them. Like, come on, guys. No, I'm kidding. No, but honestly, I disagree with your point, Kevin. I think a lot of people saw it coming. A lot of people saw it coming with Dallas beating the Suns in Game 7. Game 7 looks different because like he's been playing more Game 7s than the Phoenix Suns have combined, aside from Chris Paul. The Phoenix Suns are a great team. I think that Luka, just with how they played in Game 7 against last year with, I think it was Game 7. I'm not sure, with the Clippers last year. And Luka just has that experience for the Game 7. I think even if they play Golden State in a Game 7, I think that the Mavs would have won that. But we all know what happened to that. But yeah.
Okay, I get where you're coming from, but let's be honest. Dallas actually really played 2 elimination games because they could have lost in Game 6 and it would have been over too. So they play very good with their back against the wall. The defense, a lot of NBA analysts, including JJ Redick, and I know we'll probably talk about him a lot later, but said that Dallas had some of the best defensive changes in a lot that he's seen in a long time as far as playoffs go. I don't think. I mean, maybe going into Game 7, people assumed the Mavericks would win just due to momentum, but I don't think going into the series, people thought Dallas really stood a chance.
Oh yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. We saw Phoenix win 2 straight games, and I don't know about y'all. I was not high on the hopes. So,
I mean, they play. I mean, well, yeah, because before the conference finals, they don't go home after 2 games, right? Or is it like they're like in Phoenix and or do they play in Phoenix twice?
No, it's a 2-2-1-1-1 format.
Okay, so yeah, because like I expected them to play better at home because the Mavericks they always play better at home. Like they always have.
Nobody won an away game until the Mavericks won Game 7.
Yeah.
And every game was a blowout, just about.
Yeah.
Including Game 7. Wow.
I'm gonna throw
let's see what Cullen has to say.
Thank you, Kevin, for that introduction. Thank you.
Sorry.
So look, I'm just gonna kind of run through the second round because I think that's roughly where we left it off. It was somewhere between round 1 ending and round 2 beginning. Round 2, I felt like a lot of it, or most of the matchups, came down really to injury. In the Miami-Philadelphia 76ers series, Joel Embiid obviously had his issues. I mean, the fact that he was able to gut it out and just play in that series was an achievement. Miami obviously advanced through that one. Milwaukee-Boston went 7 games. I feel like if Milwaukee had Middleton, that it could have been a different ball game. But again, we'll never know. Credit to Boston for taking care of business. Memphis Golden State, obviously, with what happened to Ja, we can't, obviously dismiss that. I know you guys both picked Golden State in that matchup. I was the one that picked the Warriors, but I don't even feel good, with that pick, just because given the fact that what Memphis had to kind of go through. And in terms of Phoenix and Dallas, I mean, look, Dallas obviously that's the biggest upset to me in the entire playoffs. Overlooking the bracket and everything. And in reality, it wasn't much of an upset. It was Dallas sat there and said, we have the best player. And after falling down 0-2, it really looked like Phoenix was on their way to essentially winning the West, winning that matchup, and, being a real threat to the, NBA Finals. And it just seemed like Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, they just could not consistently put together stretches that could put Luka Doncic and the Mavericks away. Kevin, as you mentioned, or you guys mentioned earlier, the home team just kept winning. Phoenix took care of the first 2, then Dallas won back the next 2, then it was Phoenix, then it was Dallas. And then ultimately it came down to the Game 7. And it was because I remember that Game 7, it was the same Game 7 where Milwaukee and Boston also had a Game 7 that day with Phoenix and Dallas. And it was the most just subpar Game 7 day for the NBA that they had in a while. It was 2 blowouts both ways.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people inclined about that.
Yeah. And Dallas ultimately took care of business, and they were the better team, and they proved it. They obviously advanced. Getting to the quick Western Conference Finals, because I know we're going to try to smooth into what we are talking about now. Miami, Boston. Listen, Jimmy Butler, I think he's proven that he can lead you far in the playoffs, but Miami outside of him, and I understand he had 3 games in the middle of that series where he didn't play his best. Maybe it was due to injury. Maybe it was, something else along the lines. We're not sure. Miami just needs to get more help for Jimmy, because Bam didn't seem like he was the consistent second scorer, although he was playing great defense in the paint and everything. He's not really aggressive on the offensive end. Tyler Hero in and out of the lineup with injuries and inconsistent play. Kyle Lowry, let's face it, he came in out of shape. Just couldn't really help Jimmy. And then Boston, credit to you, Anthony. You called it from the beginning that Boston was going to come out of the East, and they took care of business ultimately in 7 games. Dallas and Golden State. Listen, the more experienced team kind of wore down the one superstar. And, I mean, in my opinion, Game 2 was the real swing game. Dallas was obviously up by, I think it was at least 15. It may have been 20.
I think it's 19.
Okay. Late in that game. And ultimately the Warriors, the championship pedigree, it prevailed. They were able to
Third
fight.
Quarter Warriors.
Yep. And it ultimately, I felt like, in my opinion, kind of broke Dallas's spirit a little bit. They did ended up getting a win out of it and forcing it to 5 games for a gentleman's sweep. But Dallas, it's going to be very interesting to see how they attack the offseason. I'm sure we'll talk about that plenty in future episodes. But yeah, it was a really entertaining playoff run. Got to see a lot of new faces, some familiar faces, and yeah, we're here in the finals now, baby.
I know we already talked, or I know you already kind of talked about the Warriors, and I'm going to talk about the Warriors Mavericks series, but I'm not going to talk about the Mavericks. I'm simply going to talk about 2 people. And those 2 people are not Steph. It's not Clay. It's not even Draymond Green. We're talking about Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins.
I want to throw in Kevon Looney in there too, by the way.
Yeah, I was like, you really forgot.
True. I mean, let's just think about this Warriors team. They're in the finals right now, and I know we're going to talk about the finals here in a little bit, but this Warriors team essentially took a 2-year hiatus where they just weren't really contenders in much. And still with Steph being injured and Clay being injured for the long period of time, and even Draymond had his stint of injury and just different things, But Steph has been looking great all year, essentially. He was off to a hot streak, fell on a little bit of a slump, had a little bit of an injury, came back hot again. And Clay's coming back into form. Draymond missed a little bit. He's coming back. But now you have this supporting cast who's found their way into starting roles. Jordan Poole is just an electric player. And just, the other day he hit a shot, and it was just he said it. I have limitless range. I can shoot wherever I want. And Jordan Poole, electric. Kevon Looney, like you said, I mean he does everything he needs to for that team. And Andrew Wiggins, I think JJ Redick, really broke it down the best. It's not that he has improved. He has improved, and it's not like he came out of nowhere. We've always seen these sparks from Wiggins where he's played really good. It's just never really been that consistent. He has found his system, and he has been doing wonders for the Warriors. But let's not even, next year they're going to have James Wiseman. Like, they're going to have another big man that could be a very electric player. Like, this Warriors team I don't know who does their drafting process or who looks over the players that they bring into that facility, but wow. Just when we thought that dynasty was over, it's almost like they're revamped.
Yeah, so the original
Who thought it was over? Who thought that dynasty was over? What?
I don't know.
Come on now, bro. Everybody.
I don't know.
Come on.
Well,
really?
Technically, hold on, Anthony, because I'm going to call you on something. You were along with Kevin thinking that they would lose to Memphis because y'all had them going out in round 2.
Because they almost did.
If
John Morant never got injured, they probably would have lost to Memphis.
I don't know about that.
It would have gone to a game 7.
It would have gone 6 at least. I'll give you that.
Okay.
As it did.
I'll give you 6.
And you also have to keep in mind the Warriors lost Gary Payton, so.
Well, so Kevin, I kind of wanted to get back to what you were saying. So the war, and I know because we got to switch over because we're talking a lot of Mavs this podcast, but I know it's the end of the season, recap and everything. The Warriors, everyone remembers the dynasty with Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, like that big, crazy juggernaut that was an unstoppable force when healthy. The original slogan of the Warriors was strength in numbers. With that squad, Sean Livingston, I think Harrison Barnes, Andre Iguodala, Steph, Clay, Draymond, Andrew Bogut, if I'm not mistaken, was on that team. It was they had a bunch of different guys that could sit there and contribute. And Draymond talked about it on his podcast that originally they wanted to go veteran because they wanted to focus on the now and get guys who understood concepts, more than younger players do. And the management basically told him, like, no, we're going in this direction. We're focusing on the future, and we think you guys can still win with this group coming in. And you mentioned it with James Wiseman, who's not even really contributing this playoff run. I mean, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga. You mentioned Gary Payton. Listen, it's Jordan Poole, obviously. They've got some depth, and they're gonna have to make some decisions this upcoming summer of what direction they want to go, who they want to keep, who are they going to potentially move on from. But Golden State, Bob Myers, that whole organization, Joe Lacob, and everything from top to bottom is arguably the best run organization in the NBA right now. And hats off to them. I mean, they've got arguably the deepest team in the NBA right now. So
let's just talk about this salary cap though. Like, how is it that they're able to keep Draymond, Clay, and Steph, and like with their salary cap? Like, I'm sure there are plenty of NBA teams that are like, how are they able to keep all three of these guys like together, and then also be able to get all these draft picks? Because I mean, like, Steph Curry's contract is not cheap. I'm just saying, because like, I mean, it's just crazy how they're able to just keep those three together. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, listen, they're able to pay the luxury tax, and willing to, which is a big thing that not a lot of teams are sometimes willing to do. And obviously they have the championship core to do so. But they turn, like, if you remember, right? So Kevin Durant was traded in a sign and trade when he left Golden State for Brooklyn. They got D'Angelo Russell. They then turned D'Angelo Russell into Andrew Wiggins. And again, through those trades, they acquired some picks through that.
Yeah, you're right.
And through those picks, they got James Wiseman and now Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. Jordan Poole was a late first round find. Gary Payton, I believe, was a late round guy as well. Listen, the Warriors, again, they're just smart with their development. They want guys that compete, and they buy into their system, and they're just great at scouting talent. I mean, we just got to give it off to them.
And speaking of veteran presence, have you guys seen Otto Porter Jr., bro? Like, this man's shooting it from range. Like, you were on the Wizards, my guy. Like, no one really knew. They knew who you were, but they didn't know who you were. And that's the one thing about Golden State. It's like, you're going to be a star in your role, period. In like for real, seriously. And I actually heard this thing on Instagram. Anthony Edwards was talking about his draft process. I don't know if you guys heard it.
I saw
Steve Kerr after the workout, and he was like, Steve Kerr to talk to him about it. If you haven't heard it, you can go on Instagram and look at it. It's Anthony Edwards talking about his draft process to I think Grant Hill or someone. No, talking to the Jet about it, and he's just like, yeah, Steve Kerr told me that I just need to work harder, like because he was just running. He was doing a drill that Steph Curry used to do, where it's like touch the baseline, go shoot the three, like do it multiple times. And he was like, you got to work harder. Can you run any faster or anything like that? And he's like, I'm trying. And he was like, Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, they would do it, and they would do it just like with so much effort and heart. And I'm just thinking about it, like just imagine if they took Anthony Edwards, right? If they had the first pick, if they took Anthony Edwards over James Wiseman, like just another athletic freak, like just another athletic guard who can just do it all. Yeah. That would have changed everything. But yeah, the Warriors are it's just insane. But to bring it back, because I know we got to talk about the finals, so I'll just bring that in now. We're tied 1-1. It's going back to Boston, Golden State versus the Boston Celtics. One is trying to get their fourth ring, and another is trying to get that 18th banner to move ahead from the Lakers. And we know the Lakers organization is probably looking at that like, oh my gosh, Golden State, please win. But yeah, Jason Tatum finally got over the hump, getting to the finals. And I'm not gonna lie, the first two games, he was decent in my eyes. He was not the best. I think what Boston needs to do is they need to get him on a hot start a lot faster. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, because listen, you're on a roll, but I gotta make sure I fact checked you real quick. The Warriors are going for their 7th championship, not their 4th, because they've won championships previously before, the squad came through.
I'm saying ring. fourth ring.
Yeah, no, they've won 6.
Steph and Clay and Draymond are going for the fourth ring.
Well, you said the Warriors. I didn't think you meant. Okay.
Oh yeah, my bad. I meant to say Steph, Clay, and Draymond trying to go for the fourth ring.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay, this iteration the Warriors. Gotcha. Okay, now I'm seeing what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna break it down. I made my official pick on Twitter. It's time dated and everything. I made it before the finals. Well, before the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. I said Boston in 6 for this finals. I'm gonna trust that you guys, are not based on what you've seen in the series, that you all made your predictions or maybe, said something beforehand and that you're not gonna go back on your word, because I do trust my fellow co-stars here. I need the official where we stand going into the series and how you're feeling right now.
I'm going Boston in 7.
Okay.
I'm going Boston in 7. The only way Boston wins this is they just got to stop Steph Curry. Because and I can break that all down after Kevin gives his pick, because I got some analysis too from watching the game. So,
Kevin, who do you got?
So, I'm trying to think. So the first 2 games were in Golden State, right?
Yep.
No, you made this pick beforehand, Kevin. This is what we're giving the credibility for the Fools on Stools listeners. You're not judging this off of what happened. This is you have made this pick already, as I have previously mentioned, and you were totally listening to, because that is what you were doing, Kevin. What was your pick before this final started, my friend?
I think I said Boston in 6. You don't want me to say I think.
No, it's just, listen, it's
Boston in 6.
Okay, so we're a Boston, clean.
Boston.
Yep. Anthony's just saying it's going to go one more game. Me and Kevin are both saying in 6. Anthony's saying in 7.
Yeah,
I had different opinion now that I've actually had 2-game experience, but before the series started, it was Boston.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, the only way, and I'll break it down a little bit. The only way Boston wins this series is that they got to stop going low on high ball screens from Draymond. Draymond is literally playing a front, like a linebacker to these players, literally, when he's setting screens.
Fullback, more like.
Fullback, yeah, fullback. He literally pushed 3 players out the way so Steph can get a wide open 3. And in game 1, you can't just let Steph Curry have all that space.
I do think
if you do, then he's just gonna shoot it. The main thing is that they gotta stop going low on a high ball screen from Draymond or from anybody. I don't care. You cannot let him have that much space, and let alone they need to be thanking the Celtics gods up there that that Klay Thompson wasn't on his game in game 2, because if he was, that would have been a problem, because he was not on his game. And they better hope that game 3 in Boston, because we all know, if you did not watch the press conference today, Klay did say he's going to be watching a little bit of game 6 Klay on YouTube. So they better be ready for Boston tomorrow night.
I think those are the perfect words that we need to end off our NBA topic. But let's switch over to baseball. So let's start home first. The Rangers, the Texas Rangers, not the New York Rangers. We'll get to that later. The Texas Rangers so they had a doubleheader today. They won one and then lost one. They lost one and then won one against Cleveland. So they're either at 500 or just below. They're somewhere around that 500 range, which in baseball is pretty significant. If you're the Texas Rangers, it's even more significant because, well, guys, the Rangers started the season 2-9. They were 2-9. That's not good in baseball at all. That's not really good. It's not good in anything, really, at all. So the Rangers are doing good. And Martin Perez, if you would have told me that Martin Perez would have top 5, I don't know if he's still number 1 in ERA, but top 5 ERA, I don't think I could believe you. but Martin Perez is really the ace of this team, and he's doing amazing. We have a lot of rookies. I mean, we had to call up, oh my goodness, what's his name?
It's gonna bug you if you don't remember his name.
Yeah, it is gonna bug me.
It's our first podcast back. Sometimes, you get all your thoughts in your head, and you're like, oh, I got ready for the podcast, and then you forget that one bit of research, and you're just like, I need help. I need help.
I mean, hey, look, literally the last podcast, not last podcast, the last segment, the NBA segment, I say they better get ready for Boston. It was for Golden State.
Josh Smith.
Yeah.
So they called him up from AAA. Dude has been balling. As far as I know, he's had a hit in every single game that he has played. And, I mean, he is just, like killing it. Our prospects are looking really good. Even, it's just things are looking up for the Rangers. And then, Cullen, what about your Mariners?
Well, Kevin, as we currently stand with the final score of tonight's game, 4-1 Astros over the Mariners, and with the Texas Rangers beating the Cleveland Guardians, Texas is currently up by a game and a half in the AL West standings over the Seattle Mariners. I should have known better. I should have known better. This is an organization that just cannot seem, no matter what it does, to get it out of its own way. Last year we had that incredibly close, almost getting to the playoffs run where we were only a couple games out in the end. And we go out and we sign guys like Robbie Ray, Jesse Winker, Frazier, and all these other guys to try to contribute not only to the rotation, but to the batting lineup, to just get some veteran leadership in there, maybe to push this team from, almost there to in the playoffs. And so far we are currently fourth in the AL West. There was one point that I believe that we were fighting the Athletics for last place. Tyler Luker, a contributor to the show, one that we will have back on. I need to have a word with him because he told me the Mariners were going to be potentially winning this division, and they are far from it now. Again, it is June, early June. Things could happen, but it's been a rough ride. Inconsistencies from the pitching staff to, hitters. I mean, Julio Rodriguez is a rookie, and he's one of our more consistent hitters. It's just the way it is. The Rangers, if I'm a Rangers fan, I'm pleasantly surprised with how well this squad is doing. I understood there was a lot of money invested into this team, but I don't think even the most optimistic Rangers fans could have predicted how well the pitching has gone for the Rangers. Not saying that it's the world beaters or anything, but the fact that they're, more than capable on any given day to really show up and be one of the better, bright, young pitching staffs in baseball. And that's not even with their stud down in AA, still in the minors. And listen, Texas has had a surprisingly good season. Mariners disappointed again. It's one of those things that I I should have seen coming, and again, it's early. We're 6-4 in our last 10, so maybe we can turn it around. But so far this season it's been disappointing. But hey, listen, Rangers, shout out to y'all. You've been outperforming what I definitely thought the Rangers could do this season, and hats off to y'all.
Hey,
I agree with that. Anthony,
hey.
do you have anything for one of your 8 home team baseball teams that you want to talk about?
No, I know, right? I'm actually going to talk about the Mariners with Cullen about
okay.
Your month this month of June. Look, your Mariners, they're not doing great, but if you look at the month of June, it's very interesting. And you guys play Boston after you guys play against the Astros tomorrow. You guys go to Boston and play them. But the month of June for you guys, it's like a wave. It's up and down. You guys lost to the Oilers the 1st of June, 9-2. Then you guys beat them 7-6. And then you guys go against the Rangers. You guys win 4-3, lose 3-2, win 6-5, go down to Houston, win 7-4, lose 4-1, and you guys will probably win against Houston tomorrow, and then it may be the same thing in the rest of June until you guys play 25 games in the start of July. So, I mean, look, the month of June has been an up and down hill for you guys, but I think the biggest thing for you guys is just consistency. Like just winning 2 out of the 3 games, or we're just trying to win 2 games against the same opponent. It's like, what are you doing differently, or what are you trying to do differently? I know you're not the GM or you're not the head coach or anything like that in the ball pit, but what do you think is going to take? And I'll just move to the last game of this series with the Astros. What do you think it's going to take for your Mariners to get the dub, to at least get 2 wins over the Astros?
Well, so first of all, Anthony, I just want to thank you so much because you did brighten my mood a little bit. Had I known that the Seattle Mariners had defeated the football team of the Houston Oilers earlier this season, I would have had – I guess I didn't see that on the Sports Center ticker that they were playing them earlier this year. I mean, that's a feat. I don't know if a football team has gone and made that transition over to the MLB. The Oilers are back. That's crazy. No, in all seriousness, listen, because you nailed it right on the head. Consistency is something that even the most talented ball clubs need, especially when you get into June, July, and August, those really long stretches and everything where you're kind of seeing like people get into their chemistry, people hit their stride and everything. To me, it comes down to the pitching. You invested however much into Robbie Ray in the offseason. I want to say it was $115 million over 5 years. And, there's been weird instances where he'll come out for most of the game and look like the ace that we paid him for. And then there's just one inning where he just completely loses it and it completely ruins the game that he's had. So hopefully he can kind of get his confidence back, really start to hit his stride, because we've got some other guys. Logan Gilbert's been a revelation for us. He's been one of the better pitchers on our roster. Brash also as well. I know Marco's struggled, but Marco's a really good left-hander for us. And hopefully we can get some guys healthy. I want Kyle Lewis to get back in there. Mitch Haniger's dealing with an ankle or a high ankle sprain, I believe. And just overall, just get healthier, try to get into a groove. But for me, it starts with the pitching. Hitting, I think, will eventually come around. Like, it's just, we're one of those teams that just it's gonna fall right for us. It just hasn't so far. And I need Ty France to consider to continue to be one of the biggest surprises in baseball so far. That's been one of the few bright spots for us. So
nice. I did say Houston Oilers. I did not mean to say Houston.
No, you definitely did, and I'm so glad that Cullen called you out on it too.
Look, I said it with confidence. I'm not ashamed of my game, even though I said it wrong.
Hey, it's fine. It's fine. Hey,
it put a smile on my face, so thank you, man.
That's all that matters.
We have gotten some great advice from some great people, and one of those is make fun of yourself as often as possible. I know I do plenty of that, and y'all do it for me. So I'm just glad that this is getting shared with everybody.
Yep.
So
Houston Oilers, they're back, baby.
Apparently they're not back too far. They're getting beat by the Mariners.
Oh, yeah, for real.
Earl Campbell's about to come out and throw some heaters, man. I don't want to see him on the mound.
Exactly.
Oh, boy. Exactly. Well, I mean, I think that we can fit this in. It's a little bit of a transition to the NFL, but let's fit this in. It is baseball. So we are recording this podcast a little bit after this whole incident, but I do think it's worth mentioning. This is great. This is fantastic for baseball. Cullen, you know the story basically inside and out. Would you care to explain it?
I would love to, Kevin. I would love
to.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay. So if you have been living under a rock, because this story transcended the game of baseball, like this was being talked about throughout the landscape of the sports world and even sometimes otherwise. So basically there was this little feud about fantasy football between these two players, Tommy Pham, and Jock Peterson. It also involves Mike Trout, who we'll get to in a moment, but I just kind of want to briefly run you through kind of what happened. So basically, as athletes sometimes do, they get in a little high stakes gambling with their fantasy football stuff. As Tommy Pham was quoted as saying, "I'm a high roller, man." Yeah, that's a interesting thing to talk about yourself. But so long story short, Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson are in this fantasy football league. And it got to the point where their feud was so serious that Pham slapped Peterson during batting practice. The incident resulted in a 3-game suspension for Tommy Pham. And apparently it involves one of the game's biggest superstars in Mike Trout. Mike Trout is the fantasy football commissioner of this league that Pham and Peterson are in. Trout, again, maybe arguably the biggest star in baseball. It's certainly one of the biggest. I don't think anyone disputes that. Kind of has a pretty busy schedule. And, I personally, if I were him, would not have signed up for the league commissioner route. If you want to, play fantasy football, sure, go ahead for it. But commissioner is one of those things that people that take fantasy football seriously know is one of those positions that, like, you're going to get scrutinized. You're going to, constantly get berated with texts, calls, all of this and that and the other. And Trout apparently wasn't the guy that was on top of his game, so to speak, in this regard. Yeah, Trout's the worst. Pham was quoted in a report by The Athletic. Trout's the worst commissioner in fantasy sports because he allowed a lot of bleep to go on and he could have solved it all. Nobody wanted to be commissioner. I didn't want to be the bleeping commissioner. I've got other bleep to do. He didn't want to do it. We put it on him. It was kind of our fault too because we made him commissioner. This is obviously kind of the stakes of it. Apparently it was a $10,000 buy-in for participants. And apparently the issue that caused this rift between Pham and Jock Peterson was that Peterson placed a player listed as out on injured reserve so he could pick up an additional player. Pham accused Peterson of cheating, to which Peterson claimed that Pham had employed the exact same tactic with a player on his own team. Ironically enough, and a little kind of sidebar into the story, the player that Peterson put on his injured reserve list was none other than UNT alum Jeff Wilson, who plays for the San Francisco 49ers at the time. So, yeah, shout out to UNT. Pham ultimately ended up dropping out of the league despite the hit to his wallet, and he also took exception to jokes that Peterson made in the group chat at the expense of his former team, the San Diego Padres. It was a photo of, 3 bodybuilders, the Dodgers and the Giants, lifting really strong weights, and then the Padres, apparently they couldn't get the weight up. Pham took exception to Peterson being like, I don't know you like that, bro. Don't be sending that, what in the group chat, to which Peterson's just like, yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, he literally showed the text live on camera for those reporters in the locker room. So Pham served a suspension, and it caused an interesting dialogue because I think a lot of us, I know you have, Kevin, I'm not sure, Anthony, if you did played fantasy football. But it can be a very, very drama-filled endeavor to go through. And it just so many different angles of the story we could go into. But the fact that we're able to talk about this on this podcast just makes me so happy, because I genuinely thought this was one of the more entertaining stories in sports so far in 2022. Now that I've kind of given you all the run through, and I'm pretty sure, hopefully I didn't miss anything, what are y'all's initial takeaways?
So this is just awesome. Just all of it is just awesome. So I was playing fantasy football this past season, and one of my friends at the time was the director and leader of the whole thing. And a personal matter occurred, and we're no longer friends, but we're in this freaking fantasy football league. So it's like, wow. I'm not just going to dip because that's
Brian's on the line.
No, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So
okay. Yeah.
We aren't friends anymore, right? I drop him out of my life. And so I have to play him the next week. Ooh. And he's beating me in our division.
Mm-hmm.
by like one standing or whatever. And so I basically band together all these people who didn't like him either. They gave me all their good players, and I absolutely dominated him the weekend following. And then after that, I left the league.
Wow. So you self-sabotage. I mean, Anthony, I know you've got the shocked look on your face. Like, this is the level that people will go to in fantasy football leagues just out of pure spite.
There was no money.
Eddie.
There was no money. No money at all.
I'm glad that you said that, because I was going to ask that. So that's okay. Okay. So, yeah, in a league like that, you're allowed to kind of get away with, because, yeah, with money on the line, people would have had a conniption.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to go in the depths of my fantasy league. I've been in one for, I think it's been at least 5 years that we've all been into it together. It involved like Brendan, one of our baseball contributors, and Andrew, our F1 contributor, among others. And yeah, we could spend a whole podcast talking about it. But Anthony, I just want to get your thoughts on it, listening to all this dialogue going on about fantasy football.
You know, one thing I know about sports, especially American sports, is that, you know, one thing that will never, ever, ever be not talked about, like ever, is football. Football will always be talked about. Football is the American sport now, basically. Before it was baseball. Now it's football, you know. And some way, somehow, football will always make its way into something. I don't care what it is. It'll always go. And it's always football, man. It's always fantasy. Like fantasy has gotten, it's insane how huge it is now. Like, it's literally like it's its own league.
Right.
Like, it is. Like, it's crazy how much and how big fantasy football has gotten. Like,
well,
it
something
is wild.
Well, something that coincides right with fantasy football is betting. I mean, I don't know about y'all. Have y'all ever like sat down and listened to a podcast and had somebody that came on to explain the betting procedures for an NFL game, a player, or just anything like that? Like, we're all in Texas, so legally we can't bet on sports, but dude, it is like a whole different college degree. All this stuff that goes into like oh my, like everything, like literally everything goes, like the way that the player dresses in the morning goes into all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
they bet on like what he could do in pregame warmups. They can bet on like, you know, what he says in an interview. I mean, it can go really in depth. And I mean, the influence that DraftKings and like other sports gambling websites have had on leagues like the NFL, I mean, it's absolutely insane. To add to your point, Kevin,
I was listening to the Pat McAfee show the other day. And
your second favorite podcast?
Yeah. And so they were talking about baseball, and they're not big baseball guys. I mean, the show centered around football anyway. And they said that they bet on whenever the inning is over, when the pitcher puts the ball on the field, they bet on if the ball ends up on the mound or on the grass.
That's pretty fucking.
What if it's on the mound or on the grass?
Yeah, because like you sit there and like you walk off, like it's thrown to the pitcher, and the pitcher just kind of like rolls it to the mound.
Yeah. Or whoever.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And they'll bet on like, does the ball stop on the mound, or does it roll off or roll over? It can get so insane. Like the prop
bet is so technical.
The detail that goes into that is incredible.
Yeah. So and just for context too, like I'm in a league that's a money league. Again, it's, you know, we do it cash, whatever. We don't deal with like DraftKings or anything like that, where it's a $50 buy-in. These guys, it was a $10,000 buy-in for this league. I mean, and I know there's probably more expensive leagues out there, but like it just goes to show how serious fantasy sports gambling can get, especially if the stakes get raised like they obviously were in this situation.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Drake. Drake bets on every little thing. Oh my
gosh, dude!
Like he bets millions of dollars on the Super Bowl.
If Drake bets on anything, I'm instantly gonna say that they're gonna lose. Instantly gonna say they're gonna lose. Like it's The Drake curse is so real. Oh my
I mean, we saw what happened in hockey the other day.
Oh my god!
That
Hey,
was so sad.
speaking of hockey, just for the listeners to know, we don't have a time. Like, we don't know how long we're running. So if this ends up being a 3-hour show, we're so sorry. We don't know. But I saw that the last jersey that Wayne Gretzky wore for the Oilers in the finals sold for like, I mean, I don't remember the number like off the top of my head, but it was like $1.2 million or something like that.
You nailed it. It was 1.2.
And that jersey was crispy. It had the old Nike swoosh on it. Oh,
that's clean.
It was nice. But I just throwing that little tidbit of information.
No, I hear you. Also, just want to give an update because I know we're not going to go too in depth to it. We might save it for a future episode. It's conference finals time for the NHL. The Tampa Bay Lightning tied up the series 2-2 against the New York Rangers tonight.
Don't tell Milo.
Yeah. And listen, we may need to have him on. We need to get his reaction and his thoughts right now because I'm sure he is losing his.
He's going through it. He's going through it
right now. This watching these games and everything. But yeah, definitely want to see kind of where it goes from here. Yeah, we'll talk hockey. We're gonna try to see if we can get Milo on for episode 29. That's what our goal is. But
that'll be the goal. I'll reach out to him shortly.
So how about this, Kevin? Since we don't know what time we're on, and we may be an hour, we may not be in an hour. You want to just hit the NFL real quick, and since we're already talking about it, kind of.
yeah, it was a perfect transition. Let's hit the NFL. Let's talk about something real quick, and then we'll head out, and we'll see where we stand.
Yep.
We'll hour one and whatever we're at.
Quarters or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, free agency has been a little bit of a doozy. The most recent thing to happen is Aaron Donald becoming the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. 2 years, $60 million, and he can opt out after the first year in case he does decide he wants to retire. But somehow a Los Angeles Rams team that just won the Super Bowl, who has Matthew Stafford, Jalen Ramsey, Cooper Kupp, re-signs Aaron Donald, brings in Bobby Wagner in the offseason.
Don't forget Allen Robinson, too.
Oh, my gosh. Like,
yeah. So it guarantees him $65 million over the next 2 seasons and $95 million through the 2024 season.
Yeah, I mean, that's just – I didn't even say it right. That's just an extension. That's not even the full contract. That's just the extension.
Right.
So –
he went the league leading $22.5 million per year to $31.6 million per year.
Wow.
That's just about what a top 10 quarterback makes.
I mean, it's nuts. And Aaron Donald, I don't think anybody on this pod disagrees or thinks he should be earning this money.
Heck no.
So congrats to him. Listen, man, it's just the Rams are going to be the Rams. They're going to invest all into winning now. They're in win now mode. They're going to try to see how many rings they can get before they financially can't hold up anymore. So
yeah, I feel bad for the next set of management that has to deal with all that stuff.
Yeah, look, man, never know. It's Cali, baby. I mean, look, they're going to invest money into everything: basketball, football, baseball, whatever.
Yep. Speaking of Cali, I mean, what about the Chargers?
Yeah.
Chargers are nice, man. Not gonna lie. Chargers looking nice.
Yeah.
They looking nice.
Yeah. So the last podcast that we did was the day or two before the first round of the NFL draft.
Yes.
And I went back and I listened to our podcast because I always do, and I love listening to our voices. Maybe not mine so much, but I do it anyway. And Cullen, one of the things that you mentioned was that you wanted to get an O-line. You wanted to get an offensive lineman that was really good. And you mentioned a few guys, and one of those guys was Charles Cross, and indeed, that is who y'all got.
Big number 9.
You know, what are you're happy about that? I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. So I also went back and listened, just to kind of get a refresher of like how we do things.
It has been a while.
Right. And so I went back and I listened just to kind of get, okay, where my headspace was and where I am now, compare the two, yada, 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 right? I'm pleasantly shocked of how well the Seahawks drafted. I think, obviously, Charles Cross, I think he was number 2 on like the guys that I had listed. Obviously, number 1, Evan Neal went pick 7.
Yeah, because there was a stretch of offensive linemen being picked. So,
but yeah, so we got Charles Cross. We got a guy that some feel he's the best pass protector in the draft. Locked down at left tackle for the next decade, hopefully. And then you know, in the second round, we go and get, you know, an edge rusher, which is another position in need. And then we get to Kenneth Walker, who I know you're a big fan of.
Oh, yeah. That's a steal. I
was so mad y'all got that. At first I was mad that y'all got Cross. At first,
I cannot
you guys get Walker.
Yeah.
He fell to the second round, right?
Yeah.
Just so like the beginning of the second round.
He was our second round pick that we got because we took the edge rusher first and him. We then got another offensive tackle who was a capable starter on the right side in the third round. And then we used our later picks on a couple of corners. One, Kobe Bryant. Yes, you heard that name correctly. It's not spelled like Kobe Bryant, but he is wearing number 8. COBY, Kobe Bryant from the University of Cincinnati. Stud corner.
Another lockdown corner.
A guy who played alongside Sauce Gardner over there in Cincinnati. And then we took Tariq Woolen, guy from, I want to say it was UTSA. Please don't quote me on that.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah.
He ran really, super fast.
Yeah, long, rangy corner. Obviously, he tested well at the combine, like you mentioned, Kevin. I'm pleasantly shocked. Like, that is, again, and I'm knocking on wood here because we haven't seen them actually in game, how they perform and everything. But this could be potentially one of the better drafts Seattle's had in the past decade, roughly, maybe like 7-8 years for sure.
I mean, you know, we talk about Seattle going on a restart or a rebuild, if you will, and I think this is a perfect way to start a rebuild.
I think so too. I think, you solidify arguably one of the top 3 most important positions in the NFL for the next decade. You can't ask for much more. And they obviously felt that quarterback in this draft was not the way to go. And to be honest, if that's the route they want to take, totally good with that. Build around your core and then maybe look to next year's draft, or maybe free agency becomes available. Who knows? But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with what Seattle did, for sure.
I mean, hey, I think that's smart to not go for a quarterback this year. This year, I'm not saying the quarterbacks here were not great, okay? Because there are some bright spots for quarterbacks, but everybody knows that this year was not a strong suitor for quarterbacks.
Nope.
Next year, we know is going to be a very big, strong class for quarterbacks.
2 studs
from Alabama, USC, and
Well, I don't think the USC guy is eligible to come out next year. I think he's the year following.
You're going to be talking about Georgia.
Well, no, it's the main guys ahead are. Excuse me.
I know where you're going with that, Kevin. I know exactly where you're going with that.
Yeah, whatever. Love from Alabama, and then Stroud from Ohio State. Those are the 2 guys to keep an eye on this next upcoming season.
Yeah. So, like, if you guys were to get one of them, hypothetically, I mean, that's solid. And
there's gonna be a lot of quarterbacks that could be in this next year's draft. But
that's true.
But I want to talk about a team that, in my personal opinion, I felt did the absolute best in the draft. And I don't think a lot of people would rival my opinion. And I don't want to say I predicted it. I just said that this team needed to do this, and they did. And that was the New York Jets. I mean, I kind of felt stupid because I went back and I listened to the podcast, and I actually said that they should trade 2 of their first round picks for Deebo Samuel. And thinking back on that, I wish I could have slapped myself. Dude, they managed to get Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson in the first round.
Jermaine Johnson too.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a shocker.
Yeah, that was
Jermaine Johnson. What, 2? Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, got him at the end first. They got Breece Hall, arguably the best running back in the class in the second round. I mean, they killed it. I mean,
they did
getting a little bigger too. Yeah, that's scary, man.
They did everything right. And the Cowboys went and drafted Tyler Smith.
Anyway, yeah.
So y'all want to talk about that?
The Jets. No,
I would rather talk about the fact that Boston or
I'll give you.
I would rather talk about New England picking a guy named Cole Strange.
Well, I think it was consensus that New England probably had the worst draft out of anybody. And again, maybe Bill Belichick sees something we don't.
Probably not.
Kevin, let me ask you this, and Anthony, this is for you too. Would y'all rather talk about the Cowboys draft or the Philadelphia Eagles draft?
Look, man, the Eagles had. I'm not gonna lie. The Eagles had.
Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. Look. Let's just be honest. The Eagles are probably going to win the NFC East. Okay.
Maybe.
Early prediction.
I didn't say all that. I just said they had a good draft.
They got AJ Brown, big secure wide receiver for them. Jalen Hurts needed it bad, and
they drafted arguably the best interior defensive
dude.
Why? Jordan Davis.
Why I didn't want him to go to Philadelphia?
I didn't either.
He's such a fun guy. I feel like he's just gonna become me now.
They stole what was it, Nakobe Dean in the 3rd round.
They did.
Okay, but there's a story behind that.
Right, because
there's a story behind that. Because everybody during the draft in the first round was like, why the heck is nobody getting Nakobe Dean? This guy is like one of, if not the best linebacker in this draft class. Why is he not getting selected? So it went on and on. Nobody knew. And then a report came out. He has a torn, what is it? Is it pec? He has a torn pec.
He had an injury that he suffered, and he wasn't going to get surgery on it or something like that.
Yeah, he did not want to get surgery on it. Mm-hmm. And it decreased his draft stock a lot. Now, if he can somehow maintain his athletic ability and be as dominant as he was in college for Georgia and do that for Philadelphia, then it would be an absolute steal. Mm-hmm. But I completely understand why teams left him alone, and it's a very risky move.
It is. But the thing with the Eagles is because they've been lacking at that linebacker spot. I mean, they've done a great job in terms of drafting defensive linemen, whether it's Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham or any of these guys that contribute rushing the passer. And then secondary, I mean, they've had guys. I mean, Darius Slay. They've had various safeties kind of come in and out of there. Linebacker's been that really weak spot for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I love the chance that they're taking. They're saying, hey, we believe in the upside in this guy. It was a major pectoral injury, Kevin. I just wanted to confirm you were asking about that earlier. We'll see. I want to see these guys in action. I want to see how they look in training camp. For the record, the offensive tackle you guys drafted, he's looked good so far. He's looked good in drills.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
He has, and we haven't had him on the show yet, but our good buddy Leighton Prater, a little bit of news on him. He is now a freelance writer for the Dallas Cowboys. So he's been writing some articles about everything that's been going on at OTAs and everything, and of course with others as well. And Tyler Smith is looking good. He's could be a potential day one starter, and that makes me very happy. We need it a lot, really bad. So hopefully things just keep trending uphill.
We need to get Leighton on this pod, man. We were supposed to before we took our kind of little hiatus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to get Leighton's opinion on it if he's got the time. I know he's a busy man right now. If you're listening, Leighton, man, we'd love to have you on, man.
Well, we got to catch him before he takes off for Oxnard.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I mean, listen, hey, he's a KNTU alum now, so we got a little something there, you know.
Yeah, he's not too big. He's not too big yet. not quite yet.
He getting close. You know,
he's getting close. He is getting close.
He getting close.
And then
soon he's gonna have his own soon he's gonna have a blue check next to his Twitter account.
Soon. I'm expecting it any day now, man. Any day.
Could be.
Literally.
And then the last team I want to talk about, because there's going to be a lot of talk about this team anyway before we go on in this NFL topic, is somehow, some way, the Arizona Cardinals, Marquise Brown, and the Baltimore Ravens were able to keep a trade completely behind closed doors for 2 weeks, and have Marquise Brown just show up to the Arizona Cardinals draft party in the middle of the draft. In the world of media that we are in today, with the amount of insiders that we have, how that did not get out is like, props to them. Yeah.
So I kind of I'm glad you brought that up, Kevin, because a lot of people may not know. They may know now. DeAndre Hopkins, his status for the beginning of the season is very much in question after having surgery on his knee, which is kind of the reason why they went and made this move. Baltimore, we talked about the Golden State Warriors making one of the better offseason front office moves just in general. Baltimore consistently just nails their drafts, and they consistently nail player value and everything. I remember like ESPN did like a stat thing where they basically compared you back for Hollywood Brown without having to pay him. And they were able to turn Hollywood Brown into production, but also like moving up in the draft to get value. I mean, they not only get the value, they didn't have to pay him because they really weren't going to pay him. They trade him off, and then they used their 2 first-round picks to arguably get the best center and the best safety, arguably, in the draft, in Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Lindenbaum. Listen, Baltimore is one of those things that to become like a great run front office is sometimes you have to take advantage of the desperate teams. And I really think Arizona was in a spot where they were like, hey, listen, you know, Christian Kirk just went off to Jacksonville. DeAndre Hopkins is having injured knee. Kyler Murray, you know, we were in contract negotiations. We need to kind of bring Kyler Murray back, you know, like show him that we're still invested into him a little bit. And I think that's part of the reason that they made the trade for Hollywood Brown to acquire him and get him to the Arizona Cardinals.
So I did want to kind of touch on something you said. So DeAndre Hopkins is good to go for the season, but he's actually going to be suspended 6 games. He tested positive for PEDs.
That's also another thing, yeah.
So that didn't come out till the week after the draft, and everybody was like, oh, maybe the Cardinals might have known about this. So between the Kyler Murray situation and getting Hollywood Brown and the DeAndre Hopkins situation, you know, we haven't seen a lot of DeAndre Hopkins as of the late few years, I guess I would say, other than his first few with the Cardinals. The Cardinals is a team in question for sure. They have pieces. It's just it's an interesting dynamic as to what will happen with that team. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I did great analysis, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah. Well, I just saw a day ago that they reported it'll be a full go. I did not see that news, so thank you.
So he is good. Like the surgery went good and everything like that, which is great to hear for.
Well, I knew because I think the surgery and the steroids were linked somehow. Like he was trying to use them as like a recovery thing. And so I didn't know he was going to be, but as you mentioned, he is a full go for training camp. So in that respect, glad that he's healthy. But yeah, I think that just, like you said, the unpredictability with Hopkins and everything, and now the 6 games is a big reason that they brought Hollywood in. And,
I mean, when DeAndre Hopkins is healthy, this league is better. But he's been one of my favorite players for a long time. Even when he did play with the Texans. So it's good to see D-Hop will be healthy whenever he does come back. It just sucks that he is going to be out for those 6 games, but hey, it is what it is. I did want to, I know that, we talk about the Cowboys and we talk about home teams a lot, but a major passing in the NFL occurred about a week or so ago. The passing of Marion Barber, the second, former Dallas Cowboys running back, passed away at the age of 38. I don't know. I didn't look into it a whole bunch. I don't know the cause of death or anything like that. But I mean, he was, the Cowboys are known for having historically great running backs and historically great offensive lines. And I don't think Marion Barber gets his respect as much as he should. He was a great running back. And, from all the messages and all the things that have been said from former Cowboys like Tony Romo and others, a great person. And in my opinion, the owner of the best 2-yard run in NFL history.
Yeah, no, rest in peace to Marion Barber. This is kind of one of those things at 38. I mean, I know we joke about my age and everything, but I mean, that's a little more than 10 years away from how old I am. And, I mean, to see that kind of happen to really anybody is a wake-up call. And just goes to show that especially, with everything going on in the world, it's always good just to, check in on people, tell people you love them, like right before you leave or you get off the phone with them or anything like that. Because, ultimately you don't know when somebody could potentially pass away. And, like I said, rest in peace to Marion Barber. I think everyone handled it with grace, his passing, and out of respect. So I thought that was really nice by everyone associated with him and the Cowboys organization. And rest in peace.
Yeah, and I'll second that or third that to you, Cullen. To just also check on your people, check on your friends, check on your family, because you don't know what anyone's going through. We're still in the era of COVID still, even though it's kind of died down this summer, there are still people getting sick, still people with mental health issues and other things, and just don't be afraid to call your mom, call your dad, call your dog, call your cat, call your people, and check up on them, make sure they're okay. If you haven't done that, go do it now. If you got to pause the podcast and go call them, do it, because you just never know. I literally just saw a video of a Jacksonville football team helping taking someone out of a car because a guy was trying to commit suicide in his car in a lake. Like, people are going through things. Call your people, make sure they're okay, because you just never know what anyone's going through in their mind. So don't want to put it down or anything or take away from what we're talking about, but just make sure you check on people because it's important, because everyone's going through a lot of different things and just support. But yeah, like you said, Cullen, I think the Cowboys did a great job in remembering him. Phenomenal player for the Cowboys and one that will be surely missed for sure.
So, I completely agree. And then I just want to end on this little bit of lighthearted news. I don't want to take away from Cullen's feel-good story or anything, but so as some of us know, Rob Walton, the heir of the Walmart Corporation, has bought the Denver Broncos for $4.5 billion. But I just, I follow insiders, and correct me if I say it wrong. Ari Meroff, I believe that's how you say his name. reported that there is another owner in the buying of the Denver Broncos, Melody Hobson. She is the co-CEO of Ariel Investments and the chair of the board for Starbucks and the director at Chase. It is a large, in my opinion, a large leap for minority owners in the NFL. It's something that we have been talking about, as of late with different, head coaching and just all these different decisions being made at the top chain in the NFL. It's a great leap towards that, getting a female African American to be a part owner of an NFL team, I think is awesome. And, I can't wait for more of these instances to happen.
That's huge. That's huge. That is huge.
Yeah.
So be ready to see a lot more Denver Broncos stuff in y'all's Walmart stores and a little bit more Starbucks.
Yeah. Do you get to exchange your salary for stock in the Denver Broncos, or how does that work? Or
dude, if I can, I'll go ask my manager tomorrow. If I can, I will do it in a heartbeat.
Real quick.
Yeah. But, Donald, shout out to Melody Hobson. Obviously, I mean, that's the real big story here, other than obviously, the joking of the Walmart and everything. But this is a great leap by the NFL. I encourage this with more minority groups. Obviously, potentially the Seattle Seahawks and the Portland Trailblazers in the NBA might be up for sale soon. It's not been confirmed yet, but potentially down the line, it could be something. So I'm all for minority owners getting into the NFL groups. I think we need better representation, especially at these owner meetings and everything. And I think this is a great step. This is really good news. I'm really happy to see this.
Yeah.
And Anthony, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I was just saying, now if only we could also do the same thing for these NFL coaches as well, because the fact that we're in 2022 and half of the NBA of coaches are minorities, specifically are Black men. It's come on, NFL, what are we doing? It's 2022. Let's switch it up a bit. I'm just saying, but huge step for owners as well, because that is ginormous. That is such a big story. But go ahead, Gabe.
So I was just gonna say, it's not the NFL. It's not a sport that we talk about all that much, really. But we're gonna talk about soccer a little bit, kind of staying on the topic of minority, I suppose. Or not, I suppose, but staying on the topic of minority. But the U.S. women's national team, let me think of all the titles that I can put in front of that. The championship winning, the successful, the all-star filled, our U.S. women's national women, our women's soccer team is so good and has been for so long. Well, if you follow or if you know of the U.S. women's national team, that there has been a lot of advocates on that team for equal pay and equal rights in the soccer leagues for the female athletes, led by Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan and many others. And if you want more details on this, I listen to the ESPN Daily's podcast. You can listen to it in the morning before you tune into your Fools on Stools podcast. It's okay. I give you permission. And then you can go back and listen to it. It breaks down all the details, but essentially they have been working on this for 25 years, trying to get equal pay for the female athletes in soccer who have been making a ridiculous difference of margin difference of money compared to the men's national team, who is good in its own right, but is not nowhere near as good as the women's team, and has been getting a large amount of money. And the men's and the women's national team sat down, and the men's team was willing and what's the word I'm looking for? Like what's like whenever you are willing to do something.
They were offered. They were like.
They were. It starts with a C. I have no idea. I don't know. It's late. I'm losing my mind. Anyway, they were willing to sit down and basically give the women's national team and their athletes their right so of the money that they're getting, and split the pot evenly so that the female athletes and the male athletes would be making the same amount of money, which if you follow sports at all to any degree, you know that the inequality for money alone between men and women's professional sports has been big and something of issue for a long time. So for this to happen in the U.S. for a team as good as our women's national team has been in the past and now, it's a huge leap in the right direction for women's sports. I hope it carries on not only in the soccer world but also in other professional sports like the WNBA and many others. But I know we talk about the NFL and baseball and football. We talk about all these things all the time, 24/7. It draws our attention, but I did not want this to go unnoticed. And if not, even if ESPN and Fox and all those places aren't talking about this that much, other than a 5-minute brief, I wanted to give its due diligence because this is huge.
Well, okay. First of all, we wanted to give this. So it's recommended.
Okay, sorry.
It's not just Kevin here on the Fools on Stools, but no, Kevin, look, you nailed it. I think this is a really great movement in terms of, well, not just movement, but just a great direction that we're heading in terms of getting equal pay. Listen, the women's national team has been more entertaining than the men's national team. I'm just going to come out and say it for a very long time now. They've been more successful. They play better soccer. It's long overdue that they're finally getting the pay that they deserve. And the fact that, we were finally able to see this, which again, I mean, when we talk about these issues and we're advocating for this stuff to happen, we hope it happens, but there is the unfortunate, sad reality that whenever we advocate for something that we know that it might not happen. And to actually see something like this go through and actually be accomplished and everything, I think it's a big step, not only for just this movement, but for movements, just the morale of, what people fight for in various different topics around sports. And I'm just so happy for the women here. They're going to get their equal pay. And like you said, Kevin, hopefully it transitions to other sports as well. And yeah, it's a really good feel-good story. I like it.
Yeah, 100%. I will definitely agree with that for both of y'all with the U.S. women's national team. They're just fun to watch. I love watching them. I mean,
they're so good.
Abby Weinbach is cold up, especially with the pink hair, swoop to the side. Like everybody knows who she is. Like everyone knows her. Partner Sue Bird. Everyone knows who she is. Really big advocate for the U.S. women's national team. And like Cullen said, they just keep winning, man. They just keep winning. And they're just fun to watch. They're so entertaining. And big props to them of getting equal pay. I do hope that other teams are watching this and that they do see that, it's not that bad to give equal pay for men and women. It is okay, because at the end of the day, everybody got to eat. I'm just going to keep it a buck. There are some people and some players who have to get side jobs from their professional job. They have 2 jobs. their professional career and a side job that they have to have. And I think giving minorities, men, women, specifically women, the equal amount of pay as men, that helps a whole lot. That helps them take care of their families and all this other stuff that, we all know. But big props to the U.S. women's team because they are just fun to watch. I love watching them every year. And this is a move in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Whew, wow, boys.
Guys, that was only hour one.
That's hour one.
That could be 2 hours for all we know, to be honest.
Literally.
I know, Kevin, you're not tapping out yet. We're going the full 2 hours. We got a lot of stuff we need to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, as always, be sure to come back for hour 2, 3, or 4, wherever we're at. Just come back for the second part of this episode of the Fools on Stools podcast. I promise you don't want to miss what Cullen's got in his Cullen's Corner. We are going to be talking about some good stuff. Or what Anthony has stirred up for us, maybe some Mavericks insider tips. We don't know. You wouldn't know unless you tune in. And then my Kevin's kickback is just lackadaisical and not together at all. But you want to hear about it
for an official Kevin's kickback.
Yeah, officials Kevin kickback. Yes.
But anyway, we will see y'all in hour 2. Peace.